as you get above the right school walleyes, you're going to get quite a few. But then you move on to the next one, and it's dead. Like,
yeah, they've been finicky fish by fish. I mean, because I don't think there's been a day in the last 2 months where we haven't been over fish.
exactly.
So when they don't bite and you've got that good a picture and that many targets, it's them, not us, kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's been saying. They're just picky.
Yeah.
Just picky as all get out right now, and you just gotta work for them. But I mean, people are still catching plenty of fish.
Yeah.
Whether it's perch or walleye. I mean, the east end there.
Tell me the scientific perspective on this year's mayfly hatch that everybody seemed to be really up in arms over. Was it?
It was just an uncharacteristically big one. Like the temperatures, the food conditions over the past year, they were just horrific for the bugs. So they just blew up.
Okay.
That temperature stretch where we had it in the 70s, water temps in the mornings, that was absolutely ideal for them.
Gotcha.
So it was just the stars literally aligned for them.
Gotcha.
There's really no other way to look at it until we get like all of our data run in the winter. But I mean.
And what kind of data would you look to ascertain? General like health and welfare of the population? Did they take advantage? Really take advantage of that bigger school or that longer group of bugs? I mean, because everybody you talked to in every live well was filled with bug puke.
Oh,
you know.
Oh yeah. They were munching on them big time. And then like we do dredging on the bottoms. We have this little like clamp that we drop down, takes the dirt out, haul it up. We like make the interns pick through it, count all the mayflies, all the hexagenia,
Yep.
all the whatevers, and
Yeah, because we had quite a wicked caddis hatch in the middle of those mayflies. I mean, every morning I would see more of them live flying than I ever saw any mayflies this year. It seemed like it was solely nocturnal for them,
yeah.
but there were caddis everywhere and some big ones.
Yeah.
I mean,
You fish for trout, you know.
yes.
Mayflies in the morning, caddis in the evening.
Yep.
So I mean, they ran their stereotype perfectly, and yeah, I mean, I was surprised at how big that was too.
Yep.
It was truly impressive hatch-wise this year across the board. But yeah, I mean, once these gizzard shacks start going, I think the walleye bite will pick back up now that they're starting to look for more fish.
Yeah, a lot of them we're seeing it. I don't keep many fish really, but everybody I'm fishing with does, and they're tossing up the 2.5 to 3.5 inch perch, which you're getting. I mean, we're catching on blade baits all the time. Yep. And or if you throw a spinner in the weeds, 50 of them follow it every single time. So, I mean, I love how fertile this lake is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and hopefully we don't see any sign of that tailing off. Let me ask you a question now.
Sure.
How come we haven't seen a algae bloom yet this year?
East end, right now.
Right.
It's lime green.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Will it work its way this way? Is it water temperature related?
I have a feeling it will. And one thing I've been thinking about personally is like we've had all of this big wind this year.
All spring.
It's been mixing a little more, so it could be that it's been pushing the algae deeper with the mixing and all that. But that could be a part of it. But yeah, yesterday when I was down on the east end, I was fighting jumping in because I was like, I don't want to swim through that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely started.
Yep. Okay. Because by now we should have had it multiple times.
Exactly. Yep.
So and I always want, now what does that say about the lake though? I mean, do we want those algae blooms? That means it's healthy, or we don't want them and this is better? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, every lake gets algal blooms no matter what. It's just the severity of it. So the ones that we get are like a nice balance. Like it's not so intense that it's gonna make the water body go anoxic or anything like that.
And that means what?
It deprives deprives it of oxygen.
Oxygen.
So once
That's what I
algae
thought.
starts rotting, it sucks that oxygen out of the water, and that leads to bad things.
So what is their so their rotting processes? Is their using the available oxygen as a fuel and expelling carbon dioxide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when they rot.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, that mostly happens in like ponds and that kind of thing. It's really rare to have it happen in a lake this size.
Right.
Just because we have so many creeks feeding in and that kind of stuff. But again, we haven't had the crazy rain like we have the past couple of years.
No.
So that limits a lot of the agricultural runoff, which contributes. You get like fertilizer running in, phosphorus, that kind of stuff. And that can lead to big blow-ups, and that's what you see in like farm ponds where it's like 2 inches of scum on the top.
And so that's because of the nitrogen in all of that fertilizer and waste?
Exactly.
And the nitrogen, the algae's eating the nitrogen. Okay. And it
gets it going, and then once it starts dying off, it floats to the top. That's where you see it.
That's fascinating stuff right there, man. I think the more people know about the biology, the more they can understand how everything plays together.
Exactly.
I like that because this is a complicated ecosystem out here with a lot of contributors.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is like the number of species in this lake is insane compared to other lakes in New York. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have the trout and the salmon like the Finger Lakes do, but
sure,
you go 15 minutes down the road and you can catch them.
Well, we're so blessed in the state of New York. I mean, I would love the New York State Department of Tourism to come out with me for a week and let me show them around just this portion to really be able to say this is a jewel, you know? This is a jewel that economically we should all be thriving from, as well as the whole research side of things to make sure we stay at the top, not just on Oneida, but we have such resources to the north, to the west. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like Oneida is one of those little oddballs where it's more of a warm water fishery, but a lot of the lakes around here are cold water, so it is really a gem.
Yeah, well, and yes, and it's solely ours. The Finger Lakes are too, but it's solely ours of this size. You know, if you put state money into projects outside of trout and salmon in Ontario or the St. Lawrence even, not that St. Lawrence has trout and salmon stockings, but those are border waters, and that's a whole different realm, and I think that money seems to be a drop in the bucket without the return. These inland bodies are ours, and every one of us, meaning anybody that buys a license, and certainly any resident of this state, has so much here to be thankful for. I mean, this is my backyard. I come out and play in my backyard every day.
Exactly.
And everybody else should too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, like the number of families that this company I talk to,
all right, so that brings up another one of my favorite topics. Let's talk about, I've never in my life seen this many giant sunfish that are in this lake this year. And I mean giant.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable.
I think most of it is a lot of people don't keep them, so they can just grow.
And I'm finding them out in the depths with the walleyes, out to 30, 35 feet of water. So I didn't realize that they had that. So oddly enough, my cousin works for DEC. He's a biologist. He's down in the southern part of the state, and that was his thesis, was the red ear sunfish. And I catch them. I mean, they're a bit, and I don't have a huge hand, but they're outside of my hand all the way around, and they're that thick.
Yeah.
Insane. But I didn't know if that was something that Cornell was paying attention to, noticed, cared about. Does it mean anything else? You know.
We mostly look at like the larval sunfish, and when they're that small, we just call them Lacomas because there's really no identifying features on them at that point. But they are a super important food source for the bass and the walleye, which is what we primarily focus on.
Sure.
Predators.
Sure.
But I mean, we like to look at them. We don't really focus on them. But, I mean, we've been seeing the same thing in some of our traps. Just giant pumpkin seeds, giant bluegills, giant rock bass.
I've caught bluegills out here this year jigging for walleyes on blades too, and an actual bluegill, as opposed to, a lot of people just say a generic name for all of them, but they are different. And those sunfish in here are red ear sunfish, correct?
We have pumpkin seeds, bluegills, rock bass, and green sunfish. And the greens are a hybrid between the pumpkin seeds and the bluegills.
So what is a pumpkin seed? So
ones
these big ones with orange bellies,
Yep.
that's a pumpkin seed?
Pumpkin seed.
And so then what's a red ear sunfish?
They look like a bluegill, a little bit lighter green, and then the red patch on the gill plate instead of that dark blue, blackish color. So we don't have a lot of them. They are native to New York.
So a red ear sunfish doesn't look like a sunfish, it looks like a bluegill.
It looks more like a bluegill, yeah.
So then what we're catching out there are pumpkin seeds, those big bright orange ones.
Yep.
Okay, so I've been calling them the wrong name all this time.
Yeah, they're gorgeous and they're tasty.
Yeah, I've got a couple guys. We're gonna do a targeted pumpkin seed trip, and we're gonna clean them and cook them, and I grew up eating them out here with my grand.
Oh yeah.
I just don't remember them being that big.
Yeah.
I mean
these ones, they're perfect sandwich size.
Yeah.
They're perfect for a sandwich.
Yep.
You can't beat it.
Yep.
So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Just talked to Jake from State Farm. He came and found me and had a great little chat this morning. I think everybody's gonna love it. Such great information, especially when you hear it from someone that really knows. You know, they're scientifically, they know, and they've studied these things. And when he answers a question, he's not giving you a I think or I feel or I heard. He's giving you what it is. The scientific, literal explanation of things, which I love. You know, that you can feel that you're getting the straight shot from somebody like that. And now he's a friend of the channel, so he knows us. But even that very first time, I didn't get the impression that there was any, you know, he's towing the company line with the state saying, you know, this, that, or the other thing. He was answering my questions as I asked him. And it's people's instinctual nature to when you ask them a question that they answer it, number one, and they answer it truthfully. It's human nature. And 99% of the time you ask somebody a question, they're going to answer you honestly. Immediately. It's their first instinct, which is wonderful. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being with me today. What I lacked in fish today, I had made up for tenfold in amazing stuff. So what a great morning of fishing. Your job here is to live the best life you possibly can. And some days things don't always go exactly as planned, and in those moments there's one thing you can do to make everything work out better, and that is to keep your tip up.